Okay, guys, so I've been asked multiple times now how I've been getting on with the T200. The answer is going to be honest. I've had some problems. So the first issue that I had is the FEP film that came pre-installed on the printer was a 50 micron FEP film. Now, if you look at how the FEP film is installed on a photon, this is the Anycubic photon, for anyone who doesn't know. This has quite a deep gap here. There are two metal gaskets that go together. You screw those gaskets together first. Then when you screw this plate into this, it gives you a nice tight drum finish. Seals the whole thing, you're all good. 50 microns on this is not thick enough. So there is only a single metal gasket that goes all the way around the vat for this printer. And as a result, you really aren't getting that tight snare drum sort of tension over the vat that you need. And as a result, my vat leaked. That was an issue. I fixed it. I cleaned it up. I went and I bought. I went to FEP shop in Europe, and I bought 100 micron FEP, and that's much better. That doesn't leak. I've not had any issues since I've installed that. But it's important to note that it does come with the 50 micron FEP as standard, which obviously isn't ideal. The next issue I had was a little bit difficult, and it was a lot of stuff that I had to go through to try and figure out exactly what was wrong. Spoiler alert, the answer is this switch. So I was having an issue where I was putting prints on. It didn't matter which print or my print settings. I tried different prints, multiple prints, all sorts of stuff. The machine was resetting at random layers. Fun fact about this machine, and I don't know how to stop it, is that when you reset this machine and the Nano DLP reboots, the screen is back in Chinese again. It's two buttons to turn it back to English. It's an annoying feature. I'm assuming it's in the configuration of the Nano DLP somewhere. I just don't know where it is. So this PC does have a power loss resume function, so you can resume your print once it has if it has stopped, but you cannot do that from the printer. You can only do that from Nano DLP, as in the online console. You can resume it and off you go, and you can try printing again, but I was getting a lot of power failure issues. I contacted TianFour. They were very responsive. So for an AliExpress company, and that's not a slight on AliExpress companies, but I think anybody who's bought from them knows that you're kind of buying at your own risk. You're buying it based off of the fact that it's cheaper and that you just kind of hope that it works. Generally speaking, their support wrappers are very lacking. That's not the case this time round. They were very responsive. An engineer spoke to me. We did a number of tests. We did some dry prints to see whether or not those were going to whether those were. It was the whether or not, rather than wasting resin, whether it was going to be, oh yeah, you've definitely got an issue with the model, or there's definitely an issue with the UV or whatever. I got a multimeter out. Originally, I thought it was going to end up being the external power brick, that maybe it was fluctuating, that was causing it to reset. But what I did is I took the front panel off, which is very easy. I unplugged the Raspberry Pi that's in there, and I actually powered that externally from a phone charger. It only needs 5 volts and like 3 amps to run, and ran that. So that all the mains power supply was doing was powering the ramps board. But again, Nano DLP ran and continued running but the ramps board then reset. Now, for those of you that know about Nano DLP, whilst you are printing, as in whilst the Raspberry Pi thinks it's printing, you cannot reconnect the ramps board. And because to pause a print or to stop a print, you have to send a message to the ramps board, which it then has to okay to say, yes, that message was received, the print is now paused. You couldn't stop the print either. So that meant that it was either something to do with the external power supply or the internal. There's a 5-volt board in there. It could have potentially been that. I put my multimeter on all the contact points. I finally figured it out. And eventually it came down to this switch. After all the effort, this was 2 weeks worth of troubleshooting, back and forth. They were about to send me a new board, a new 5-volt board, which you can access from the side here. And they were pretty convinced that it was the UV power board that was causing the whole thing to reset. But as it was, little switch just needs to be replaced. I've actually hardwired this on at the moment. I'm waiting for my replacement switches to turn up because I'm massively impatient. I absolutely don't recommend that you do that, but this one is now printing. So I've had successful prints out of it now. So we have this, it's not necessarily calibration cube, but this is sort of quite a normal cube people do on SLA printers. It doesn't require you to do anything, doesn't require any supports or anything. You just stick it on and off you go. So that printed nicely. In my UV cupboard, we've got, these have printed really nice. So these are guns that go on my TIE Phantom. These parts go in those holes there, and there's holes under there for the other one. Paint job's not finished on that yet, so no need to comment. So bar that, which is a faulty part, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Tian aren't making their own buttons, so it's a manufacturing fault of that particular button. I'm actually very happy with the machine. I'm printing at the moment, and I'm printing a multi-part print right now. So that'll be done about 6:45 tonight, so I'll get to see how it's doing with miniatures, if indeed it can do any miniatures. I don't see a reason why it wouldn't, but if it struggles or anything, it'll be good to see the quality. So yeah, so that's the update on how the Tian's going. For the price, and we have to bear in mind this is £730. Build volume wise, it is the largest printer you can get in that price bracket. The closest thing is the Wanaho, I'm probably not saying that right, but the Wanaho Duplicator 8, and the Duplicator 8 is actually a slightly smaller build volume than this, and it's slightly more expensive. So I think it's about £900 for the Wanaho. You can obviously get larger format LCD printers. There are many of them that are commercially available, but they are thousands of pounds. This is the first that I would, sub £1,000 is really sort of where I'm comfortable at. I've got a CR10, which is currently in pieces because I'm doing a direct drive upgrade. I've got an A30. I've got the Photon as well. I don't buy ridiculously expensive printers. I'm a hobbyist. I do this for fun. I just enjoy it. So I'm not going to spend thousands and thousands of pounds on it. But yeah, that's the update for now. So once this model is finished, I'll put some pictures up on some of the various groups that I'm on, and I'll try and do a short video just reviewing how they came out as well. So thanks very much.